by the way, I asked on Twitter a trivia question. I said, how much do I weigh now? The answer is 230.6 pounds is the answer. How do you lose weight so quick? Getting COVID is one easy way to do it. I mean, I was dropping a lot of weight on the trip anyway, but catching COVID helps. That helps. Oh, by the way, it was just like a cold, but I think I had a cold before I got it. So apparently, if you have a cold before you get it, it doesn't really do much because the cold doesn't play friendly with anything else. That's why you never get like a cold and the flu at the same time, because cold doesn't care to play with other things. This is going to be hard.
This, just to let you know a little bit about us before we get into it and just start asking you questions. We are a crypto community here. But we've been a very well-rounded crypto community because I'm an old guy and I think that, human beings need to be well-rounded, especially when they've got money. And so I've always spoken to the community about things like health, on top of, wealth and how to be responsible with it and those kinds of things. So being responsible for your health has been one of the things that we've discussed here over and over again. Because, and you and I talked about it in the green room a moment ago. One of the things that really resonated with me as a younger man, as an entrepreneur, when I was trying to, I was a millwright by trade. I worked a regular job. I was a blue collar guy, but on the side, I was always trying to do different, be different, get out of that working mentality, get on the other side of the quadrant, as as Robert would say, and get into becoming an entrepreneur. And so while I was doing that, some of the books that I read, one of the studies that I saw that somebody had done really resonated with me. It said, I interviewed all these very, very wealthy men, and they were all at the end stages of their lives, and they were all in their 70s and 80s. And I asked them, what would they change if they were to change one thing in their life? What would that be? And they all said that they would have taken better care of their health when they were younger than they did, because they were all facing problems, issues, medications that they were on, everything from dialysis and all this other stuff that they were having to deal with at an older age. When they had money and it was time to relax, they were, having to pay the price. So that resonated with me. So I've always been an advocate of health. I've always, tried to take care of myself. COVID has taken some of that from me, but, so here we are today, and I'm so glad that we have you on the show, because you're somebody who knows a lot more than all of us. So maybe we can dig into some stuff and talk about longevity and whatnot.
Definitely. So you touched on exactly why I started my practice. Back when I was in school, I was so excited to become a doctor and take health to the next level. But when I was in school, I quickly realized that we were learning how to only treat disease. And within that, it was like write prescriptions, and get people in and out as fast as possible and do whatever insurance says. And I was like, I'm not spending all my time in school for this. Like, I want to teach people how to actually be healthy. So when I got out of school, I did a fellowship in anti-aging and regenerative medicine. And then I did another fellowship in natural medicine so that I could bring both sides of medicine to the table. So I could have a lot of natural, but then conventional when I need it for things like COVID. If COVID hits you, we need a lot of Western medicines to help us through it. Also natural medicine. But that was why I started my practice. And I've had my practice now for almost 7 years.
Yeah, it's easier to work with somebody when they're already somewhat healthy, right?
Absolutely, or catching things early on. So when I first see the patient, I do rather extensive testing and blood work to get what I call like your internal body mapping. And this goes really in depth into, how inflamed are your tissues, your cells? What are all of these hormone cascades? Do you have heavy metals in your body? We look at vitamin levels. And then of course, basics, do you have diabetes? Do you have liver issues? Do you have prostate issues? And then from that, this is what I call your internal body mapping. So now we can look at how old are you internally versus externally, and then go from there.
So let's talk about that a little bit. So you run blood tests on people, and you start to look at what's going on with their blood levels as far as what inflammation in different organs may be, or do you actually run some type of body scan on organs and things, or how do you find this out? I mean, is it all just through blood work, or do you do other scanning?
We start with a lot of blood work, also in-depth conversation with the patient about their lifestyle. What's their line of work? What do they do for fun? All these different types of things will weigh in. What's their stress level? That's huge. And then when we look at all these different blood tests and kind of put the whole picture together, we can start to see subtle abnormalities that you would never get by, just going to your annual physical. Your annual physical is looking for disease that's already there. So you're already way down the road. We want to catch it like early on, subtle. And then it's so much easier to reverse that.
Okay. So let's talk about, so I mean, we can go into the kidneys and the heart and the lungs and all of these there's all these different diseases, right? But let's focus on one of the things that I've heard. I listened to some of your podcasts. I listened to what you say, and I've known this for many, many years, is the main cause of this disease or these things that are happening is inflammation. And how do you look at that? How do you fight that? What is your recommendations for fighting inflammation? And how much does inflammation weigh in the scale of things as far as health goes for you?
Inflammation is huge, and inflammation is basically the foundation of like every disease. So it's so important to address it. And so many different things cause inflammation. And, just so the viewers know, when we're talking about inflammation, we don't mean like my knee hurts. We're talking about inflamed cells, inflamed tissues. That's, people that down the road, people that have diabetes, they have a ton of inflammation in their body. But even little things can start to cause inflammation. Heavy metals, just toxin. We eat food that's dirty. We are breathing air that's dirty. Stress will literally change the structure of our cells and create inflammation. And then inflammation is going to create accelerated aging. None of us want that. And then that's what's going to lead to disease. So I'm huge with inflammation, and, getting a hold of it, being aware of it. And I would say my number one for inflammation is detoxing, doing a good, I use a 21-day detoxification program. And what it does is cleans up your blood, cleans up your organs, and it gives your body a reset. So there's all different micronutrients in it. It focuses on blood, liver, colon, and then there's even a weight loss element of it. But this is foundational. I typically put every single patient through a detox and to help reset their body. And they, you might not see physical changes, but we then will usually see it in their blood work. But I would say 99% of the time they benefit and they can actually have physical improvements. If it's weight loss, more energy, better mental clarity, less joint pain, better sleep, better hair, skin, nails. That's definitely my number one. I could talk all, for the next hour on.
Well, that's important because you got to start out somewhere because look, we're all screwed up. We've been, eating and drinking pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, germicides, you name it, on top of all the mass amounts of omega-6s that we're all putting on our bodies and all these, the triglycerides, and just all of these horrible things that we're constantly eating, especially if we're eating out of the left side of our car window all the time, which a lot of us do. Let's just face it, especially people who are busy out there running around, and I do a lot of traveling. So I know that I don't get to eat as right as I'd like to. That is changing though, because I know that what I put in my pie hole is most important. But the detox is the beginning of that, especially if you're my age, I've been soaking up a lot of bad shit for a long time. So we need to get cleared. So is your detox one of these crazy detoxes that are out there, or do you use a product? How do you do your detox, or is it proprietary secret?
No, I'm happy to share. My mission is to share health education with people and teach people how to be healthy. So I'm happy to share. So my detox is, it is something that I actually developed with the lab. This is how passionate I have become with how important detoxing is, but it's shakes, it's clean eating. So you're going to have like fruits, vegetables, you're going to have some pseudo grains, which are like quinoa, lentils, wild rice. It's lower protein initially, and then you're going to start adding in lean protein later, because a lot of detoxing takes place in your liver. So it's not like starvation or anything like that. It's not just juices where you're like ravenous.
I did that damn lemon thing one time for those 4 or 5 days, and it damn near killed me. I'm sorry. I can't believe, I was like, is this thing for real? Like, my wife was like, okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to drink this lemon water. First, you're going to down a gallon and a half of salt water in the morning. I'm like, how can that even be fucking good for you? A gallon of salt water, right? And so down this stuff, of course, the salt water, because of, I guess, the weight of it goes right through you, like whoosh, right? And then you drink this lemon water, and then you have like your nutrients for the next 4, 5, 6, 7 days or whatever is maple syrup. And I got to where I can't even smell maple syrup anymore because that shit was so awful.
Oh gosh. No, whenever I say detox or a cleanse to a patient, first I have to defend it, because I always hear like stories about like this stuff that's on the market. So this is also meant to be sort of a lifestyle change. So it's not like torture,
You've got to have a lifestyle change. I mean, if you do it once, it's like, okay, I did it, so I'm good. Check. No. If you're really that focused on it, I think it's time for a lifestyle change if you're going to detoxify yourself.
Well, and then so you can like balance your life. We all want to go out to dinner. We all want to splurge. We're getting into holidays now. Like, we want that balance. So like, go out, go have your good dinner, but then, go back and do your shakes for a few days to like balance it out a little bit. The reason that I made this 21 days is for something called neuroplasticity to kick in. And that's where your brain actually starts to create new habits. So when you start this, the first few days are a little rough, you go through that detox, but then it starts to like, okay, I'm kind of getting used to it. Then before you know it, you're adding in more proteins. And then by the end, you're actually feeling better. And then you're like, okay, like I think I could actually keep going. Versus doing like, a 3 or 5 day thing where the only thing that's going through your head is, I can't wait until day 5 and I can go, back to my eating.